Imagine having a mother-in-law that wants to have you at every single holiday gathering, but then she ignores you. She completely ignores you to the point where when she's addressing you and your husband, she turns her back to you and only talks to him. And then to ensure you're completely cut out of the conversation, she uses their native language. Now, you've brought this up to your husband, like, babe, I feel completely invisible. Like, this is ridiculous. He's like, that's just my mom. Like, don't take it personal. I don't like conflict. So he's no help. So now you're feeling invisible and abandoned, and you're coming to us for help. So I'm going to read you a few more things that she had to say because it's quite a bit. So again, all holidays have to be at her mother-in-law's house and with her at the center of attention. The one year that they explained that they're going to go to her family's for their daughter's first Christmas, the mother-in-law glared at her. So she didn't say a word. She just glared at her and then refused to talk to her the rest of the day. When we told them that we were expecting, she immediately texted his sister to break the news herself. She wanted to be at our house when we came home from delivering our daughter. She came over every single Sunday for the first 3 months of our daughter's life, not to help around the house, just to be there. And it really was not fun because my husband's schedule was Monday through Saturday, so we didn't have a single day alone as a family. When we bought our first house, my husband was so excited to tell his parents, but the only thing she said was, every time you move further away from me. But worse, she acts like I don't exist. Literally, she doesn't talk to me. We've been together for 8 years, and she doesn't even know my sister's name, even though we've hung out as a family for 4 times. She doesn't know where I grew up, what I studied, what I do for work. When she asks us questions, she will physically, again, turn her body so her back is facing the daughter-in-law. Also, you know, like when you ask people questions, like, what are you guys doing, you know, and all that stuff, she phrases all of her questions in singular tense so that it's known I am only addressing my son. Like, she does not want to address the daughter-in-law at all. When our 3-year-old daughter says words in English, my mother-in-law says, ugh, that other language. I've told my husband how bad this feels and how hard it is for me to see them sit there and talking in their native language, and I'm just silent the entire time, feeling invisible. He just keeps telling me, that's just who she is. Don't take it personal. What's more, okay, so then she talks about them speaking in their native language, so she can't even join the conversation. He doesn't want to talk to her because he's afraid of offending her, which leaves me feeling abandoned. Okay. Oh, that's not fun at all. I'm so sorry that that's happening and she's treating you with such disregard and disrespect. Like, she's obviously missing out on having a good relationship with you. One thing I've tried, and it's pretty successful, is when I'm talking with some couples or clients and they haven't made any headway saying like, hey, this is hurting me or whatever, and they do have children, I have them bring them into the context of the conversation. So what I would do is I would pick 1 to 3 things that your mother-in-law has done to you that your husband has admitted are pretty crappy. Like, things that he's like, I know it's not right, but that's just her, whatever it is. Just think of 1 to 3 things like that he has agreed. Yep, she did that, and that is just awful, but at the same time, I'm not going to say anything. So pick out those things, and then I would go to him and I would say, I understand you see me as a full-grown woman and I can take care of myself. I have no idea really truly why you won't stand up for me. Like, I know you think by standing up for me you have to hurt your mom, but by not standing up for me, I just want you to know you're hurting the family relationship. Like, this will only get worse from here. But I want to ask you, if this, and then explain the situation, were to happen to our daughter, and then she came over and she was crying to us like, this keeps happening, and I talked to my husband and he tells me, it's just my mom, like, get over it. What would you tell her? Would you tell her the same thing? Like, yeah, you're just invisible. Like, you don't matter. You're not important enough for your husband to stand up for because that's his mom. That's the most important person in his life. It's not you. Is that the way you want her to also view the situation? Is that the life you want for her? And I find that when you do frame it in these ways, for some reason you can bypass that defense mechanism, because conversations in the past probably have made him feel like he has to be defensive of his mother. And so he automatically gets into that stance. But then when he's put in a frame of mind where he's thinking, oh, if this was happening to my daughter, like those defenses are down, and all of a sudden he's this protective person, and he might be able to see things a little bit differently. And then I would remind him, I'm not against your mom. Like, I understand she loves you so much, and she, for whatever reason, feels like I'm taking you away from her. So I have empathy for that. I'm not trying to put you in the middle of this at all. I'm just simply trying to ask you, if this was happening to our daughter, would you just be like, don't take it personal? Or would you have her go back and talk to her partner, like, get it together and like protect me? Like, I am the most important woman in your life now. Like, stand up for me. Chances are he'll see it, I'm hoping. And then he would be able to talk to you about, okay, what could some boundaries look like? Like, for example, all I would say is when we go over and your mom like turns her back, you can't control that she turns her back to you, but your husband can then look at you and just say, hey babe, mom's asking about the garden we put in the backyard and how we like it, if we're getting any tomatoes. Like, really enunciate all the words in English to pull you back into the conversation, to make sure he just lets his mom know, because he may not even have to do it directly. He can just pull you into the conversation, letting his mom know, I'm not playing this game. Like, Melissa's sitting right next to you. This is ridiculous. Or when his mom starts talking in their native language, he can just say, hey babe, so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about cousin, Benny and blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you think about that? So just say, that's just something you could start doing immediately, which is just when she turns her back on me and tries to ice me out of the conversations, you pull me back in by explaining me what she's asking in your native language. Pull me back into the conversations. Also, just when you guys are talking amongst yourself, you stop the conversation in your native language, let me know what you're talking about, and ask my opinion. That's a very simple request, and that's something very simple that he could do to honor you. Like, I think that's very simple. So that's my idea. What do you guys have for her, and like what insight can you shed on this situation?